Hi, everyone. Kyra Schaefer here. I hope you're doing good today and you're feeling good and you're being happy and you're doing the best you can. I hope you're doing well. And I wanted to talk a little bit about story today because story is such a wonderful way for us to use as a tool to help with our self development and our growth. And so when I say it in that way, when I say story, um, we can go into story. We can, when we're in something like therapy, and we can tell our story in order for the purpose really to help to transform it and change it and to shift it and help ourselves understand it better so that we can move on with our lives because ultimately story is just that story. Our past is meant to shift, it's meant to change, it's meant to evolve, it's meant to develop. So when I worked as a hypnotherapist many moons ago, I not that many because I still use the skills, but having a clinic with clients and things like that. The thing that I noticed, and the thing that is also very true, is that memory is very subjective to um, the understanding that we have. So we're allowed to have it change. One of the cool things that I used to do in hypnosis was timeline therapy, where you can go back into a situation safely and um, work with yourself and giving yourself positive resources in that moment of that experience and watch how the experience changes and how it evolves and how it no longer holds you captive to um, to to itself that is actually unreal. And so, because it no longer exists, Wayne Dyer said this, and I don't know if he got it from somewhere else, but he said that the past is the wake the boat leaves behind. There's nothing substantial there. You can't, if you throw something in the water into the wake, it's going to sink to the bottom. There's nothing there. It's the wake the boat leaves behind. And so even though we can see that wake and we can represent it, we are still the one that's driving the boat. So that thing, the wake doesn't drive the boat, the engine does. So how you focus your engine is the direction that you're going. And so if we continue to look at the wake, we're no longer looking in front of us or in this now moment. So it's a really interesting thought. And so I just wanted to go through this relatively quickly when it comes to being stuck in story. So being stuck in story means that you keep repeating it over and over again. You keep bashing your head with the same guilt, shame, and in many cases, falsehoods, either that other people have seen about you or that you have made true about yourself. And so, or that you've taken and said, this is who I am as a result of this. But the truth is, you're so much more than your story. And because you're evolving, you're changing, you're shifting, you are creating new and more beautiful experiences every day in every way. So when we look at something like getting stuck in story, let me tell you a resourceful way to get out of old story so that you can perhaps shift some things around it. Because when we get into the next section, which is the do's and don'ts of memoirs, we want to be really healthy in our approach to it. Because memoirs are, oh my gosh, they are, I believe, one of the most important things that we can give to people in this world. And please, if you're joining me, please comment in the post, whatever, and just say, hey, I'm here. I'm here. I want to see you. I want to see your beautiful self. So stuck in story. So here's the thing that I found very helpful. And this comes from a book called Real Love by Greg Bear. I also used to attend the groups and things like that. So this is something that is very has helped me a great deal in getting out of my old stuck stories. So the one thing is it's a process, and I'll go through the process with you in just a moment, but I want to tell you about 5 behaviors that we all go into. I will do my best to make this quick, and I won't do a lot of repetition here, but I do want to make sure I mention it. So the first one is, so there's 5. So acting like a victim, attacking, clinging, running, and lying. Okay, we all do those behaviors to some degree, even if it's a very, very minor, we so totally don't mean to do these because we just want to be loving, good humans. Okay. So like we have to, no blame. And because we all do it, we don't have to blame other people for doing it either, right? We are allowed to evolve. We're allowed to transform. Yes. We're allowed to change. We're allowed to, like Carolyn Shares was talking last night about a way of mastery, in that it says, let's not keep the people in the box that we confine them to, right? We're allowed to all be different and evolve. So, all right. So victim, acting like a victim, is real basic. Look at what you didn't do for me. Look at what you should have done for me, and it's not my fault. Those are all victim statements. Okay. The next one is attacking. It could be anywhere from I'm trying to passively aggressively control you to I just slapped you in the face or hurt you violently, right? Though it's such a broad scope of attack. And some of it is very minor and very insidious. Sometimes you don't even realize that people are doing them to you or doing them to people that you love. And I think that if you study narcissism or things like that, that you have already come into contact with things like gaslighting. And so it's a very subtle approach to control. So there's these subtle controlling elements, and then there's these massive someone killed someone. There's all these variants. Clinging is another. In my opinion, it really can be a form of attack in a way, if it comes into how come you aren't clinging back with me, and then it can evolve into attack. So why aren't you playing my game? But clinging can be where you're just desperately needing someone else to love you, and you're going to try and do everything you can to get them to love you, including I'll do all your chores, and I'll take care of your kids, and I'll do all your stuff, and I will do everything for you if you'll just love me. And because ultimately that's what all these behaviors are about. It's just about love. It's about needing love and wanting love, and it's impossible to get love when we're in these behaviors. So I really just want to do an overview. I would love to go deep dive with these, but I will maybe in another video. Running obviously is running to alcohol, drugs. That's on the bigger end of the scale, sure. But also running could be running to TV, could running to video games on your phone. It could be anything like that. Running to workaholicism. It's different if you work a lot because you just genuinely absolutely love what you do. And then you can tell when it teeters because you start to feel more and more depleted. So that's one thing. Lying is, anything from, my little white lie, or I'm saving their feelings, all the way to, I'm going to go to jail because of lying, right? Kind of thing. So there's so many variants, and they're just very sweeping, big brush strokes. Victim, attack, cling, running, and lying are the big 5. And so what we want to look at is when we're telling our story, to do this process with those elements. The first thing is we ask ourselves the 5 questions: what, why, what. Yep. So what did they do? So when you're working with a great therapist, you do want them to see some of your story. And if you've worked with them long enough, then they'll know your story for the most part. I worked with my beautiful, amazing, wonderful coach yesterday, and she knows me well. She knows all of the behaviors I've ever been in. And so I didn't have to go into any story with her. I could just be like, this is what I did. This is what they did. So the first thing you ask, what did they do? Were they a victim? Did they attack? Did they cling? Did they run? Did they lie? What did you do? Did you do any of those 5 behaviors, and what were they? Why did you do them? What did you need? What were you looking for? Were you looking for love? Were you looking for safety? Were you looking for protection? What were you looking for? What did you need in that moment that made you go into those behaviors? What would you want to do differently? What do you want to change? What do you want to shift? How do you want to make this be better? How do you want this to be better for yourself and for them even? And then what can you do now? How can you clean up your side of the street? How can you, it might not involve them. It might just be talking to a loving friend who just is not involved in them. You don't want to do backbiting or gossip or any of that stuff. That's going to keep you in story. This is a process that enables you to get out of story so you can see them better. And when we can see people, we can love them better. That doesn't mean we have to be best friends with them, and it doesn't mean we have to have them in our lives. So when we look at getting stuck in story, we want to take a step back and say, okay, where is my hand in this? And is it okay to release myself from guilt, shame, or self-doubt, or any of those things? Because ultimately, we are all lovable. So take that in. Own that. We are lovable. You are lovable. There's nothing you can do that will ever make me change my mind about that. I have conflict with people in my life. Do I see them as unlovable? Absolutely not. I do not see any person in my life as unlovable. Okay? No matter what they have done or said, or things that I could categorize as being in behaviors or whatever, I just know that I can't go into behavior. I can't not go into behavior around them. So I simply make a different choice. And then there may be a day or a time that I choose to make another choice. But right now, the most loving thing I can do is not continue my story with them. Right? All right. So, okay. So we have that. So if you can get out of your story and get more general and get back from it, then we can move into the next area, which is, that's not what it is. I don't want to say that. I want to say, that's not what I want to say. Let's see, do's and don'ts. And these do not have apostrophes because my keyboard is totally messing up. All right, let's see. Show it. Memoir, do's and don'ts without apostrophes. I'm mortified. All right. And if you're joining me, please write in the comments, say hey to me. I want to see you. I want to see you. All right. So now you have gotten out of your story and you're in a place where you can kind of go, okay, I'm cool. I'm cool. And I'm going to get into this in just a moment. Which is, how do I, what if I'm done with my story? Like, Kyra, that just was completely wasted on me. I don't need to hear about behaviors. I don't need to hear about any of that stuff. It's just, I'm done with that. Okay, great. That's amazing. Congratulations. I'm really, really proud of you. You can definitely move on to this next step. But let's just talk about memoirs, do's and don'ts, basics. First of all, change the names to protect the guilty. We say we change the names to protect the innocent, but in our minds, they're guilty, right? Hey, Carolyn, I mentioned you, girl. Carolyn Shares, go out there, YouTube, do it. So yes, so memoir is a therapy. Is that okay? And the do's and don'ts. So, okay. So protect the guilty. We usually say protect the innocent. And yes, everyone is innocent. Oh boy. Right. Are we ready to believe that? So anyway, change their names or change your name. I don't recommend generally that you change your name, although I have changed my name many times. My name is not Kyra Schaefer. But my soul's name is Kyra Schaefer. And that's most important to me. And so a lot of things, I could write about anything I want to in my past life without any type of legal ramification. Let's put it that way. All right. Edit to the bone. Edit to the bone, and really make sure that your manuscript is super clean and it's super duper nice. Really, really clean, really nice. Hire an editor. We have an amazing editor out at As You Wish Publishing. If you ever want to check that out, we've got a writer's resource page with multiple different types of editors as well. All right. Because memoir can be really emotional. So we want to make sure that there is an outside person taking a look at it to make sure that you are held up in the best light, and that you are holding those that you could potentially care about again in the best light. We don't know what's going to happen, right? It seems kind of judgmental, but we'll get there. All right. Kill your darlings. I don't know if this is a name of a book, but it's such a good principle. Kill your darlings. I can't read what I wrote. Story. Story is dear to us. Yes, our stories are dear to us. So when we look at all of our past and all of our experiences, say hi to me, by the way, if I see you out here. I see you. If we see that we have things in there, we have story after story after story, and they're all basically the same type of story. So like, let's say, I tell a story about being victimized or abused in this way. And then it's basically, it happens again, and it happens again, and it happens again. Now, if it happens all in the same thing, we want to kind of take it to, let's take the most potent story. I know you're like, but they're all important, and they were all fundamental to my development, and I had to get through them. It was very painful, and it hurt so much, and I need everyone to know about it. I completely get that. And when we look at our story and we have basically things that are similar, we don't want to bombard our reader with things that could make them lose sight of what your real main objective is. And you have to know what that is if you're going into a ton of story within your memoir. So make sure that when you look at it, that you are telling the most poignant story, the most important story for you in your development, and kill those darlings. The other thing too that might be kind of fun is actually taking some story and going, how have I healed through that? How have I shifted that? How have I come through that? How have I changed that? How have I evolved from that? And then work on integrating that into the story instead of continuing to tell basically the same story over and over and over again. And like I said, those stories are fantastic for your journal. But if you're using your memoir in order to help someone develop, your approach needs to be somewhat different. Let's see. This is a good Carolyn. This is a good topic as a reader. It's different to hear another story. It's true. I was blown away by how boring my darlings were. I'm telling you, I'm going to get into that in just a second. Once you have kind of healed your story, and then how to use it differently. Yes. Yes. Very different than journaling. Yes, for sure. All right. Let's see. So be willing to kill off some of those old stories. And let yourself evolve through them. One of the great things is that memoirs and journaling and things like that are amazing healing tools. So you are certainly able to change your story and change your mind about your story. That's what all healing is. Carolyn talks about it with A Course in Miracles and Way of Mastery. Healing your story is powerful. So, and recognizing for what it really is, which is basically an illusion. It's the wake that does not drive the boat. All right. So when you're looking at memoirs, as I said or mentioned before, how do you heal? Because when someone reads a memoir, yes, they totally want to learn. They want to learn about your life, but they don't want to learn about your life. They want to see, how did you get through it? How did you shift it? How did you change it? I won't show you the book yet. But we just published a book and it's launching on the 20th. And Suzanne Harmony's book. Yay! And she speaks to her story. She puts exercises in there to help people to transform their story. So that to me is an empowering memoir. Maybe that should be a bit of a difference. Another amazing memoir is, of course, Roseanne Groover Norris's Believe. That book is a journal memoir book that takes her through the process of grief and losing her adult son. And it unfolds for you, and it helps you see grief in a different way. So it's telling one story really well. And throughout it, this transformation happens for her. And if you move yourself along with it, you transform with her. And some of those old grief